What's happening, everybody? Today we're going to take a look at how I set up challenges like the flat map start from zero challenge, and we're going to use that playthrough as an example for this video. So what I did here is I started with my essentials pack, and we can kind of take a look at everything here. Some of these, didn't make the essentials, and they're just extra ones that I've added, like red tape, something that I don't typically use, but you can kind of see here, universal auto load, easy dev controls. This part is going to be for PC only. Later in the video, we'll talk about how you could do this on console, or I'll attempt to because I don't have it on console, but we'll try it. We'll try it out a little bit. A lot of questions that I got around how I locked in direction was this enhanced vehicle mod. I'll have a link in the description for that. It is a GitHub page. I recommend getting it from there and not from the third-party sites. Store deliveries is a big one that we use that's important. Allows us to, deliver goods to wherever we want. We pay a little bit of a fee, but we don't have to go to the store all the time. But really easy dev controls is the big winner here. And the things that I don't have in this mod pack that, actually are universal to console and PC, we're just going to search for hand right now. So there's all these hand ones, but the big ones that we use is hand liftable consumables. I'm going to go ahead and install that on this mod pack. And then also this hand pushable tool pack. Both of these are available on console and PC. The other mod that we're using in here is the haystack fermenter and dryer. It should be on PC and console as well. $2,000 to purchase. I'm going to use the incognito window. This is how I find mods. So the thing that we wanted to find was a flat map. So literally I type in flat map FS25. Now, the first thing that I really would look for is a farmingsimulator.com link. Clicking on this one, we can see this was FS19. So unfortunately, that's not going to work. Looks like there was the ability to do that on console in FS19 at minimum. So the next thing I try to look at is, FS25.net and Kingsmod. I am not a huge fan of them, but I did find this one on Kingsmod. So it is this flat map. Corey looks like the user for this. The same name as the person that potentially posted that on Kingsmod. The big problem that I have with these third-party sites is you don't know if the actual mod creator uploaded this, and you don't know if it's 100% safe. Use it at your own risk. Again, I tend to find that this one seemed to be okay. I had to make some modifications to it, which we'll go over in a little bit. But as I was jumping into Corey, I'm going to try to do itch.io FS25 mods or maps. We'll type in there. And just see if anything pops up, because this would get us to the actual creator if it did pop up. The other thing we could do here, which I did not do, it looks like that's not popping up. We could do itch.io FS25 flat map. And let's go look at what Jaked Up 77 has in this collection of maps and see if there's anything. But these are typically going to be safer. They're going to be typically from the actual creator. And I like to get most of my mods from itch if possible. But I don't see anything in this collection that really jumps out at me to say it's a flat map. So we would go with this one. And sometimes these are really annoying to download. We're going to walk through it here. We're going to click on the download link. It's going to open up this sharemods.com. This is why I don't like the third-party sites. They're very intrusive. And we're going to click on the create download link. And it's not actually going to create the download link. It's going to pop me over to some other random website trying to get me to install something on my computer. So I instantly close that tab, click it again, come back here, click it again. Eventually you'll actually get to this download screen where a bunch of these, use our extension. I hate these sites, going to be completely honest. It's terrible that people share mods this way, but it is what it is. Same problem here. It is going to pop up the download, but it's also going to open up another tab over here to do something else. So now we're going to go into my essentials folder, and we're going to get rid of this one here because that was going to replace an existing version of it. So now we have FS25 flatmap.zip. We're going to go ahead and save that. So we're going to close these browsers and get back into the game, and you'll notice that the mod's not there. So you will need to restart the game at that point. One thing I do want to add in here in the middle is I use FSG Mod Assistant to manage my mod packs. I know there's some other options out there now. This is the old classic one that I use. I'm going to try to find a tutorial online on how to use this and link it in the description. If not, maybe we'll make another video. I don't really want to go into how to download mods and install them. I kind of just showed you. You do have to use something like this or make changes to an XML file to use the specific folder. And that's what I use FSG Mod Assist to do. I can just come in here. I want to go back to my 10 million challenge mod pack. I just select it in here, hit set active, but we're working on the essentials one, so we're going to go ahead and set that back to active. You can then launch this from Steam or however you launch the game. I typically use this button. It seems to work just fine, because once you hit set active, it makes the change to the XML file that is required to change the mod folder location. So it does that in the background for you, so you don't have to manually do that yourself. Now we come back into our downloads here and click on installed. We can see this mod map preview image flat map. It's here. It's there. It's good. So now we can go into career. I think I have an empty slot here. We'll go to the empty slot. We're going to go ahead and select the map. I'm going to do no start farm, no guided tour, easy, all of this stuff. Starting money's fine. And all of these things, I'm going to go in here and deselect a few mods that we just don't need. Follow Me is another one that we use big time. That is PC only. And we're getting in the game. We're just gonna, get our character going. Auto drive seems to be a problem with this map. This screen does pop up every time, but we're gonna go in here. We're gonna go into our easy dev control window. I'm gonna instantly stop time and turn on extended timescales. Totally optional for you to do. I would recommend stopping time if you're on PC, so you can set this up. So now we're gonna jump into construction mode, and we can kind of see that we have our trigger here. Kind of where we're standing is the store. And over here is, the animal dealer. So what I've done, we still have $100,000. This is how I set it up. I went into textures and concrete. I made this somewhat big. We're going to turn on... no, we don't have snapping. You could use... And I do have the straight line tool, so I'm holding down shift so I can go straight. And so now if I click here, hit shift and go to the right, it's going to create like that straight line. And basically this is really up to you on how you want to set this up. I just wanted to make a concrete area so it's not just grass where we're starting. So we didn't have to deal with that later on. And however you want it, however big you want to do it as well, is what you would do there. So now we have that set up. We can see there's something missing on this map though. And we might have to install another mod for it. So we'll come in here, we're gonna go to, and I realize as I'm getting into this, we don't have it, but we want to go to our selling points. Yep, we're going to install another mod. So what we're going to do, now we're going to come into settings. I'm going to name this, flat map walkthrough. I recommend always naming your saves so that you know exactly what they are when you are jumping back into them. Now we're going to go back in here, downloadables. We're going to type in sell anything. Actually, it's sell everything. It's not anything, sell everything. So this is the mod that I use. And this should come with a couple different options. So we will go ahead and get that installed. Now we're going to look for our flat map walkthrough. We're going to come in here and make sure we find that mod and activate it. And get back into the save. So now that we're in here, we can jump back into our factories and then go to sell points. And I like to use the the extra large one that doesn't have anything around it. The container one's pretty cool. Really personal preference here. And you can absolutely add this wherever you want. So the thing now is we don't own the land. So we're going to come in here. We're going to look at this. It's going to cost $169,000. So we're going to go back into easy dev controls. And for now, we're just going to add a large amount of money to allow us to finish doing our setup here. So now, oh, we forgot to buy the land. And then we can come in here, buy the land. This is a thing that's kind of required. And I could have set my dollar amount, my starting dollar amount higher, but I think it works out pretty good on PC to have easy dev controls because we can just kind of do exactly what we want. So we're going to place that there. That's where our sell everything location is. And now we have the ability to, sell things in our starting area. There is no other stores on this map, and that's probably why it's not on console or even in Mod Hub, is there's a lot of requirements that Giants has to have a map actually in Mod Hub. Selling location, actual farmlands to start with, or a couple of them that I believe. It does have the animal dealer, which is kind of nice. Haven't tested that to see if it works, but next you want to get your starting equipment. So, we can't just go around here and punch grass. That's just not a thing in the game, and that's why people always say, you're not really starting with nothing. You actually have equipment already. Well, you have to, unless you lease it and you have money. If you have no money, that's why I decided to deduct the amount of money that those actual things cost. So let's go into the store. The best way for me to find these is I go to the mods and DLCs and I just go into the mod pack. And you can see there's all types of things. This is an amazing, amazing mod pack. But we want to go down to the things that look like mowers and make sure we find the right one. So over here we have a push mower and we have a pushable mulcher. Mulcher can be used to crush the crop stubbles. We don't want that. That would be an actual mulching of a crop. We want the actual mower. So we'll go ahead and buy that. And you can take note here. You can say, you know, it's $150 that we spent so far. And then the next thing that we had was the forage wagon, which is $200. So we'll go ahead and buy that. And now you have your 2 pieces of equipment, and you can see that's where they're going to spawn. So you probably want to come in here and extend your concrete area while you're still setting up. So we'll go about right there, and just keep in mind that you're losing grass that you could cut, and you're going to have to go a little farther away to get any grass that you're going to want to cut. Or, you know, you're going to have to go a little farther away to be able to make money. But that's not that big of a deal. You know, we now have this going on, and anything else that you wanted to start with. If you want to start with a tractor, you want to start with anything else, just buy it. But this is where I start coming in here, and I'm just going to set my money now. It's a negative 350. And so now we're still sitting at 8 a.m. on August 1st, and we have it set up. You know, we could then come in here, and I can just hit 8 and start increasing the time to ×5. Jump on here. Get going with our push mower, make sure it's activated, and just start cutting. And now with the enhanced vehicle mod that we have, I can hit Control End, and it's automatically going to lock me into the direction I'm going. That is a thing that completely optional. It's just something that I do love. There's other mod reviews out there that show you how to use this to where it could like auto turn for you by pushing a button. I haven't. We did kind of show that a little bit when we were creating the fields in our recent flat map video, but this is how you would do it. You know, we got negative $350. We're starting to cut some grass. We're going to start using the forage wagon to then start, you know, making progress. And there you go. A lot of the mods that I try to use these days are on ModHub. I prefer to find them on ModHub first so that there's something that, you know, people can relate to and see, and there's a higher chance that they're available on console. But a lot of the times we want to find things that are unique, like the trucks that we use, the Ford trucks, you know, the Chevy trucks. They're not going to be on ModHub. There's no licensing agreement with those manufacturers and Giant Software, so they won't have the ability to be able to put those on ModHub. So that's why we have to find them on third-party sites, and it's just the unfortunate thing about gaming and the way a lot of these games are developed and not allow the ability to, you know, install custom mods to consoles. And I'm hoping the next iteration of the Xbox, which I understand is going to be a lot closer to a PC, is going to kind of change that for console lovers. But I prefer PC, and because of this flexibility. And I think this was a pretty helpful video, and I don't own a console version, otherwise I would kind of show some of the ways to do that, but I do want to look at a few maps that I would recommend to do a similar type start. You know, there's a lot of these wilderness maps now, or fantasy maps out there. You know, this one I've never seen before. I just clicked on it. Green countryside. Looks like it's pretty hilly. It's not super flat, and that's, you know, the problem that you're going to run into. Homestead was one I wanted to check out. I haven't yet. But the one I would really recommend for this, and I used it for my old school series, here it is. It's called Farmlands. It might show up in a different section, but I do want to double check that this is available on console. And the way I do that, since I don't have console, is I come in here and I find the actual mod on the website, and we do see PC, PS5, and XBS. So that is available on console. It's a decent one to use. Let's actually install it and jump into it. So real quick, I just found this video, literally Googled how to start with $0 on console and FS25, and Driver53, good guy, great guy, has a video here. It's 2 minutes and 29 seconds. I recommend taking a look at that. I'm making a copy of this link to put in the description as well. The thing with the Farmland map, you can see it's pretty flat. You start with a bunch of grass here. Plot number 39 is $107,000. Plot 33 is going to be $228,000. They're pretty pricey. So you're going to have to look up how to get money in. You know, there's government subsidy mod. There's a lot of ways to do that in console, and a lot of you probably are already pretty aware of that. But I have a feeling that driver's video is pretty helpful. But this is something that I would use if I was on console. I would have used this one. The benefit of this flat map compared to what we used on our series is you do have some forestry that you could also take advantage of. So you have some trees here that are, you know, a little bit of this section is part of the land you would own. Come in here, we're still in our land, and I think this is going to be the last. Yeah, you're going to hit the wall, actually, so every tree that you can get access to, just make sure you don't fell it to the outside of the map. You want to fell it this way. And that should be good. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave you. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I know I've got a lot of questions about this over the last few days, and I wanted to respond to it because there's so many questions. I wanted to actually make a video to help you guys out. I'm SocksWayUp. I'll catch you on the next one.